Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, I'm sure many of you are looking at the price charts and seeing Bitcoin dump today. It actually touched 98K. And you may say, Tony, I remember you talking about 98K, and it's what I've been sharing in the live streams, in my newsletter, that Bitcoin was heading from the overbought zone, which we hit when Bitcoin touched 112,000, and it's been on its way down to the oversold zone. This is just the market cycles playing out. Nothing unusual here. Now, I know there is a macro uncertainty out there with war and so forth, but aside from the news, right? The chart is still holding up and it's still the cyclical pattern playing out here. So there's nothing unusual. It wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden the markets crashed because of war. No, the markets have been on the way down. And yes, the war news and narrative comes in and then you see the price starts to tumble, right? It just almost makes it happen faster than maybe it would have played out. So the daily RSI is still showing us on the way down to oversold. And right now, the daily RSI is about 38. So we're near that oversold zone. And you may say, but Tony, there's war. Who's going to invest? Well, unfortunately, guys, we've seen historical patterns with macro uncertainty, with wars, the pandemic, and much more. They don't trigger a bear market. It all goes back to, is global liquidity rising? Are we still in a bull market? Because those factors actually outweigh what's happening in the world. Remember the people who are going nuts about Russia, Ukraine? The bull market's not going to happen. Look what's happening, Russia, Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. And then Bitcoin and altcoins have been going up. The stock market have been going up since. It all goes back to, are the governments and central banks pushing liquidity into the market, debasing the currency, printing, right? And that's what's been going on. And we've been watching global liquidity. It's been on the rise. So I anticipate Bitcoin could go a bit more lower, maybe 96K, 95K before we bottom out and then start moving up. And we'll see how everything plays out. But guys, again, I hate war. I wish all these things were not happening, but this is the world we live in, and we just got to look at the data when it comes to the charts and what's going to happen next. So with the big dump, $875 million liquidated from the crypto market over the past 24 hours. Of course, altcoins are bleeding out as expected because the market follows Bitcoin, and altcoins are going to take a beating. But that's okay because they will have their day in the sun as Bitcoin starts rallying. Remember, Bitcoin will pump, hit its overbought zone, liquidity will rotate to the altcoins and they'll start pumping. So we got to be patient here. And one good thing with Bitcoin's weekly close, the bulls, according to Matthew Hyland, the Bitcoin bulls successfully defended the support on the close. So key support levels are still being held up here. And on the weekly, still looking bullish. We are still seeing green on the MACD. The weekly RSI still looks good, right? We haven't hit that very overbought zone on the higher time frame of the weekly. So we still got room for upside here. And the Bitcoin dominance is on its way up. And here Rect Capital said Bitcoin dominance is just 5.5% away from revisiting that 71% level for the first time since January 2021. Remember, January was the blow off top year, right? So Bitcoin dominance playing out just like it did in those bull market years. And we got a bit of a fake out in late May where it showed that Bitcoin dominance was, dropping significantly, but man, it's on the way up. And I think once we hit that 71% zone, that might take us or take Bitcoin to the new all-time high. And then alt season, the epic alt season starts. And then in conjunction, you're seeing USDT dominance on the rise. So the liquidity is going back to Tether, and Tether, they are minting a lot of USDT. Today, 2 billion minted. On June 17th, there was another billion minted. So we've seen this show before. How many times have I shared these data points with you folks? And I'm not saying that to boast. I'm just trying to help you understand the markets and what's happening. I'm trying to share the knowledge that I've learned being here for multiple bull market cycles, talking to different hedge fund and VC guys, talking to different analysts and traders. So I now understand the cyclical pattern. I know the metrics to look at, and that's why I'm not panicking. I'm not worrying, and I don't panic sell anymore. I used to because I didn't know, I wasn't educated, but now that I'm educated about what's happening, I'm able to make money in the market. And I'm not saying I'm some Wall Street analyst or a guy who's been doing trading. I don't day trade. I simply play the macro, buy the lows, sell the highs, and go through the peaks and valleys on the way up. That's just part of it. And I look at these different metrics to validate my thesis, to make sure it's not about my emotions and how I'm feeling, but rather what is the data telling me? And folks, despite once again everything that's going on, just like Russia, Ukraine, just like March 2020, oh no, they're shutting down the world, right? Markets just pump because notice the herd right now will be very afraid. Oh my God, everything's crashing. You're going to see the headlines, the sensational headlines. Stock market crashes this, Bitcoin crashes that, right? That is for the masses who are uneducated. I know that's a tough statement. A lot of people, may have a knee-jerk reaction saying, "Tony, you're a jerk," right? But I'm being realistic, and this is how it all works. And I want you guys to understand that. And here's some more confirmation. Bitcoin whales, according to on-chain data from Sentiment, continue to accumulate. So they're not getting shaked out here. They are accumulating. So wallets with 10 or more Bitcoin continue to rise. So the smart money, they know what's going to happen. And even macro signals like the Bitcoin Pi cycle top indicator, nowhere close to flashing. So we got ways to go. I mentioned global liquidity earlier. Macro investor Raoul Pal shared an updated global liquidity chart showing that M2 is still rising globally. He says, here's the updated GMI Bitcoin to M2 chart. Nothing seems unusual here, but please do not expect all wiggles to match or all timing points to be exact. It's the overall contextualization that matters the most. And yes, alts bleed more than Bitcoin in corrections. Spot on, right? So he's saying, look, there's peaks and valleys on this chart. Don't expect Bitcoin to align perfectly with everything, but it's more directional. And then when you look at the chart, you see the directional pattern here. So global liquidity is a leading indicator. And look, it's showing right now Bitcoin potentially now, not guaranteed, could top out at 170K. So let's see how this plays out, folks. It will be very, very interesting. And the markets are going to follow this despite short-term volatility with news of wars and this and that and whatever pops up, right? Just look at with the tariff uncertainty crash, what did the markets do? Bounce, V-shaped recovery, even the stock market, same thing, right? So guys, understand how this game is played, and it has to be the long-term view, the macro view. Because if you're looking at the 1 minute chart, the hourly, the daily, it's going to be brutal. You're going to go through a lot of emotions. It's an emotional roller coaster. But when you zoom out, you see how this all plays out, folks. And we're still in the bull market, and we still got ways to go here in this bull market, more upside, and the different factors are showing that. Now, I mentioned war, right? And what we've seen historically, and Crypto Wizard did a great job breaking this down. And this is going to trigger some people. War is bullish. What if I told you war is bullish? On March 20th, 2003, the Iraq War began and the S&P 500 saw a sizable correction. After that, it had a 35% gain. Is he endorsing war? Is he happy about war? Of course not, right? Nobody's happy about war. But why does war trigger this bullish activity for the bull market? Because they have to print. They have to print to pay for all this. Where did they get the money to fund these wars and so forth, right? And I'm not just talking about the United States. This happens globally. Israel is going to have to do it to fund the war, and that's going to lead to global liquidity going up. That's why even in a war, markets rallied. And I know it seems illogical, right? Why would that happen? But it's because markets don't move based on war or news. They move on liquidity. And as long as governments are debasing their currency and printing, asset prices will rise, folks. That's the fundamental knowledge and thesis you need to have in the back of your mind so that you're not panicking. You're not on an emotional roller coaster. And I know a big part of it is patience, right? You got to be patient. That's the hard part for retail. Unfortunately, this is where smart money beats out a lot of retail because they're more patient and educated about these metrics. So they're not in an emotional roller coaster. Oh my God, they wake up on Monday morning and the market's down. Many people start selling. Oh my God, I need to sell. No, you don't. Now, if you have an emergency, you need cash, obviously, you do what you got to do. But if you're just simply investing and looking to grow your wealth, you're sitting back and buying dips and let it grow. And there could be points where you take profits. Obviously, we're looking to take profits in this bull market. But the point is, you shouldn't be panic selling. If you're panic selling, you're doing it wrong. So, guys, I know this is a triggering thing to talk about. War is bullish, right? But unfortunately, this is the world we live in. Now, moving ahead, Texas has passed their strategic Bitcoin reserve into law, folks. So they become the third state to do this. This is very bullish, folks. And as always, it will start with Bitcoin and then it will go to altcoins. I've said that many times. We're seeing it on multiple fronts. So Dennis Porter of the Satoshi Action Fund, shout out to this man. I've had him on the podcast. He's responsible for a lot of these things. He said Texas joins New Hampshire and Arizona to be the third state to pass a strategic Bitcoin reserve legislation into law. Just huge. I hope you see what's happening here, folks. We're seeing huge adoption globally, and this technology it will power the economy, the markets, and the governments. Blockchain will be used by every industry. Stable coins, Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, in addition to altcoins and much more. So exciting times are ahead. We just got to get through the uncertainty of these things that happen, right? Just like there was uncertainty with the tariffs and then we V-shaped recovered. So expect volatility in the coming week and maybe weeks. And then we're going to start to bottom out and move up. It's like clockwork. And again, I point you to that chart I've been sharing even in my newsletter, right? And that is the RSI is just showing you what the cyclical pattern is. It is clear as day. It's textbook. So make sure you're studying this and you know what you guys can do. I'm not trying to give you homework or anything here, but you know, after you watch or listen to these podcasts, go to tradingview.com or just go to any site that gives you investing data and go research RSI, go research MACD and all these things, right? And the different moving averages and so forth. And even Bitcoin on the monthly, still bullish, guys. So patience is the key here. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Propy. They are leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. They've tokenized properties, created NFTs for properties. They put deeds on chain. They're a pioneer in the Web3 space. They've been around since 2017. They've facilitated over $4 billion in transactions. They use Coinbase for the crypto escrow because you can use Propy to buy and sell real estate and receive crypto as a payment. It's really cool. No other platform offers this. And I'm a Propy token holder. I have been since 2018 because I saw them being ahead of the curve in disrupting the real estate industry with blockchain. So if you'd like to learn more, check out the links in the description. Also, check out my newsletter. I put out one yesterday. The newsletter is 100% free. It's on Substack. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.